back them up, they're amazing. So this situation, given that knowledge, this is a bad situation to go Colossi. We don't want to do that. Well, we're low on money. We don't have that much knowledge of what our opponent's doing. Zealot Sentry, perfect. And as an added benefit, we still have an Observer left over, so we don't have to worry too much about Banshees. But Zealot Sentry, I think, is the key unit composition right here. Or perhaps just going to Gateway Stalker, another just base, good, standard, easy unit mix. Way, way, way more often than you think, you'll be in positions where you had some plan of what you were going to do, and it just falls apart beyond belief. It goes the wrongest way possible, and this is a great example of that. But that's why I liked this as a choice of game, because TTOne just starts doing some normal things. Hey, look, camping at the low ground, not trying to be crazy and move up and be aggressive. It looks like he might be planning to do that once he get these stalkers up, but he could just chill here, wait for units to pop down, and force field it. Oh, KawaiiRice, a little bit sneaky here, getting a gigantic advantage as he has 2 running bases. Big blunder that he's not getting the orbital command there, because you can get mules. And KawaiiRice just mining from here. Viking, which is a very unusual choice. Not entirely sure I like the Viking, unless he thought Colossi were coming, which they really are not. But yeah, now TT1, I'm really starting to love the way he's responding. Look, 3 warp gates, cheap way to play, getting the Nexus up, cheap and versatile 3 warp gates are, and he's just chilling. Perfect. He says, my main was already low on money because I used to be there, I know that there's some missing, so I'm just going to prevent you from expanding. And he only attacks when he gets a good timing push. Look at this, he only attacks when he's feeling really, really comfortable about it. He didn't go crazy all out, and I just want to note, look at this unit mix. Let's just describe this unit mix. Well, it looks like there are 6 Zealots, there are 3 Sentries, 3 Stalkers, and an Immortal. This is just a normal, good army mix. Again, imagine you're in the most normal-looking game ever. That is a good timing attack. Right when the Immortal pops out, you'll have about that much stuff. Bam! Try to barrel up his front door. So often when you're in this intense base trade situation, this is the instinct that sort of floods up in you, where you go, I gotta kill him, and that's all you think, right? So you get your base up, and you're like, he's when you're trying to describe the mindset of another person, it's important you don't inhale your saliva. It's another thing, in addition to trying to find sponsors for the stream to help fund this, I'm trying to develop gills to help better work with my salivating habit. But what were we discussing? Yes. Oh, I'm pretty funny. Whenever you're in this intense base trading situation, you naturally have this huge surge of adrenaline that's going to give you this fight or flight feeling, and almost certainly because you are a competitive gamer, you are going to respond to that adrenaline by being way more aggressive than you should be. The reason players tend to be a little passive, especially those copper level players, or excuse me, that doesn't exist anymore, bronze, silver level players, even gold level players, the reason they're so passive is because they have this plan that's very simple, like, I'm going to get blah units and then I'm going to attack. I'm going to get 20 carriers and then I'm going to attack. And I just need to figure out how to not die. But in this situation, your brain obviously knows that your plan went out the window, and your instinct is going to be way too aggressive. Resist that. Oh my god, please resist that. Just go back to a normal-looking army and trust in that composition. And there's nothing wrong with being a little bit more passive in there. And whenever you attack, again, make sure it is so standard. What's a good example in another matchup of this? Well, first I'm going to begin with a Brood War analogy, because this is a game I actually was specifically thinking of. I played a Zerg vs. Terran, and we actually main traded early on. I was having a long laddering session, and I was tired, and I was like, whatever. This guy's getting 9 pooled, and I 9 pooled him, and he double proxy raxed me, so he kind of did a little switcheroo-ha. But then you know what he did? He went for just a normal build. He early expanded after that, and then he moved out when he had a Science Vessel, 3 or 4 tanks, and 30 to 40 medic marine. Standard timing push. And that made for a very, very difficult thing to deal with, right? It wasn't like, oh, we base traded. It's always hard when someone does a mass firebat drop or something kooky like that. Just resist that urge. So likewise, in a Protoss vs. Terran here, going to want to attack. Calm down, just wait till you have a nice, solid unit mix like this coming up here. And once again, do not inhale your own saliva. You will risk death. So we do have KawaiiRice. Looks like he's going to be pulling into the retreat again. I like this play by KawaiiRice, seeing this army mix. Why is KawaiiRice not engaging? Because this is just a good, solid mix. That's what makes it so strong, is that it's so hard to deal with. TTOne has not yet scouted this north base. He's just doing some cleanup work. His expo's done. Here comes KawaiiRice with a brilliant counterattack. Oh my god, this is so smart. Just trying to pop right in here and trying to kill off TT1's main. One of the big reasons why we really want to have those observers doing some excellent spotting for us. Not dying is such a big concern in these base trading battles. And it looks like TT1 doing another smart thing, saying, okay, look, I'm just going to slowly stock up money. Notice he has over 400. He can always rebuild another base, such as at his old main. And he has this other base mining. He is trying to throw down some warp gates, get himself set up. KawaiiRice being very clever, killing off these pylons, eating into the unit production capacity, and now he can abuse this cliff. But yeah, look, TT1 saved up, expanded again, where? To the safest spot possible where all his units were. He wasn't panic expanding here to the right. He wasn't panic expanding here to the left. He was setting up an expansion at this natural, very, very nicely defended. So much base trading going on, and now he's trying to poke in here and get the medevac. Oh, he doesn't get the medevac, but he does have this charge upgrade for the Zealot, which means that they are slow most of the time, and then they sprint. This basically looks like me when I'm going to get a burrito from Baja Fresh. Yeah, I run there, and then I become very sedentary. So we do have the medevacs coming in from behind, doing a whole bunch of damage here. Again, a little bit of a liability to have these two bases to manage, but TT1's just going to do a nice little split. He has his Zealots here nearby this Expo. Ooh, kills a medevac. That was a huge, huge victory. But okay, what is TT1 going to do now? He should rebuild this pylon, get his warp gates running, and then he should just go for his 3 warp gate play. He did cancel this Nexus. Honestly, if this... Okay, so this is actually very, very, very subtle. A lot of times, you get into the mindset where you think, well, hell, if I have an expansion building and I can get it up, let's try to defend it. And you end up with these weird situations where your expansion finishes and you begin mining from it, and he drops there and you try to defend it, and then he drops in your main, you're trying to defend that, and then your other base, you're kind of just bouncing all over the place trying to defend this. In reality, it feels like, hey, maybe I can hold this. Hey, maybe if I just defend long enough, my 3 bases will kick in, when really you're just in a slow death. Nothing wrong with canceling if it turns out that your other bases are going to be fine. Nothing wrong at all with canceling this. I just think that is a brilliant play. A little surprised, honestly, that TT1 didn't lose this Nexus and didn't lose his main. And since they are both still alive, he's just going to happily cancel and then focus all his units on the defense. Notice he's focusing it on the defense. He is not doing too much crazy aggressive scouting, trying to check out what's up here, as KawaiiRice Manor Barracks is himself, blocking off these 4 mineral patches up here. He is not going to be scouting for any of that. TT1's just going to stay back. He's going to chill. He's going to just cancel these warp gates. He's going to go right back to just 3 warp gates. 3 warp gates. Warp gates very versatile. The Zealots, Sentries, Stalkers. Such a nice composition to have. This Observer constantly following all these medevacs. And will they betray the Terran race? Will they reveal what's going on? And by the way, I just want to state that for the record, all these little particle effects that you can see almost certainly nicely and clearly because I'm streaming in very high quality. Sometimes these come right by the camera and scare the shit out of me. My entire screen just has this orange ball that rolls right past it. I don't know if this is your experience, but once again, one of the many reasons that I play on the lowest graphics setting. So TT1 doing the question mark lol, as it appears that TT1 has no idea that there's a whole other base. Whatever you do, do not do the TT1 style play and do a question mark and a lulls. You should in fact just go scout bases. And TT1 now moving around here, now finally scouting these other mains out. In the meantime though, very smart play, just making a whole bunch of warp gates. A TT1 saying you lost your command center. not realizing that there's in fact another command center here. And then TT goes, wait a minute, there's a whole base here. And honestly, you heard me say so many times this game, 3 warp gates. Brilliant, very easy way to get up a very nice versatile army. We have the Zealots, Stalkers, Sentries, but there's 2 Stargates coming up. Now I'm going to spoil this and say that there are Void Rays coming on, but once again, there has been a crazy game, and I know tons of you have experienced crazy games, and there are so many mistakes that you make in crazy games, but just make sure you have some nice ideas just sort of simmering there. So for instance, Void Rays, very powerful, incredibly good unit, especially when you can get a ton of them. When do they become good? When you have a lot of them, when you have the time to get them up. That's the problem with Void Rays, is that, sure, Void Ray rushes, let's just table that for a little bit. If we want Void Rays as a big part of our army, which is good,